We're very representative of kind of an unknown world out there, which is couples whose relationship this is about. It's about our sex life first. It's more like we invite others to enjoy our sex life with us.
I'm Eric Newton, and this is Together, the podcast where we explore the truth about human relationships. As a divorce lawyer, I saw thousands of couples break up firsthand. These days, I'm not so interested in breaking couples up, nor in keeping them together. I'm interested in what our relationships can teach us about ourselves and the world that we live in. So on this show, we have honest conversations with real people about real relationships. If you've listened to the show at all, you know that I absolutely love it when couples are willing to push their edges a little. That's where all the personal growth and development is to be found, and that is what gets me excited. Well, today's guests, Penn and Page, pseudonyms obviously, definitely push some limits. These two, they grew up as good Catholics in the Northwest. They married very young as virgins. They started careers. They had 6 kids. They joined the PTA, coached soccer, attended church. And of course, neither one of them ever had sex with anyone else. You might call it the standard package in their community. And it was going fine until one day, Penn had the idea that perhaps maybe they could spice up their annual vacations that they would take without the kids by visiting an adult resort. Now, he had no idea how to bring this up with Paige, so he did some research and he considered how to address it with her. And, well, we're joining the interview now, just as Paige is telling us exactly how he did it and how it went. So here we go.
So we would go on long walks, and on these walks, we would talk things out. And one thing we talked out is, what is your dream vacation? What do you want to do? And mine was, hey, let's go to California. Let's do wine country. Let's frolic in the meadow and drink wine. It's going to be great. And Penn said, no, let's go to somewhere like Sandals, but sexier. Let's find somewhere that has a sexy vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we already enjoy doing. It really wasn't much of a leap at all. It was sort of like, let's just have that vacation. But I bet there are places that are adults only and maybe just a little racier. We're 40 years old. We've been married for our 20 years. And we started saying, we're looking for adventure. Let's go online. You put in the Google search bar, sexy adult vacation. And there are some pretty exciting things out there these days. And so honestly, when we looked at that, when I saw it the first time, I said to myself, okay, I mean, it's sexy and interesting and fun to think about. There is no way my super conservative, sweet, gem doll of a wife is ever going to think about this, because what you see is that these resorts, when we say they're lifestyle friendly and clothing optional, that essentially means naked swingers.
Yeah.
And we were like, I mean, I didn't even know what swingers were. I'd never even heard of that term. And frankly, naked, we've never been naked before. It wasn't like I was anxious to get naked. It just sounded like an adventure, something fun.
I mean, I just want to say, I think it takes an immense amount of courage to do that. I should out myself and say that one of my favorite things is when people fully explore what it is they're wanting. Whether they end up getting it or whether they end up deciding it's okay or not okay, I kind of don't care. What I care is that people explore. And so I hear you telling the story about wanting this thing and being maybe even a little ashamed that you did, but still talking to Paige about it. And I can get you soft pedaled it. It seems like you probably soft pedaled it in the way that was appropriate in your marriage. But I guess all of this is to ask one question, which is, didn't you have some concern that even suggesting it would do harm to your relationship?
I don't think so. But, and I don't mean to downplay that, like that wouldn't have been a possibility. But at the time, we were at a position in our life that so many people who get involved in this lifestyle that we enjoy now are. And that is, we had a very secure, very mature relationship, one that had been built over 20 years of having that pillow talk and that complete confidence in each other. We never really, I didn't doubt that she would be angry or offended. My only real doubt was that she would say, "Are you crazy? That's silly." And put it off, and then I'd put it away. We had and still have, and that's the beauty of this lifestyle, is it develops in us what we thought was a glowing marriage, and instead it made it, pulse with excitement even more than what we thought was great communication at the time back then.
And Paige, when he did bring it up, were you? I just had an expert on the topic of jealousy on the show, and she said that in non-monogamous contexts, one partner almost always, some vast majority of the time, initially asks the question of themselves, wait, does this mean I'm not good enough? And then eventually they get over it, or asking that question is an opportunity for them to come to a realization that they need. But that always starts with that question. Did that question come up for you?
No, because he didn't approach me and say, hey, I want to start swinging. Let's go to this resort. He approached me as, hey, we really like sex. We watch porn. We have awesome sex life. We have toys. What do you think about going to a place where there's a lot of sex happening around us and watching and just seeing what happens? We did not go there saying, we're going to be swingers. We're going to play with people. We went there saying, absolutely, we're not going to play with anyone. We're just going to be in this super hot, sexy environment and have even more awesome sex with each other. There was no, I want to play with people. There was no, I'm going to kiss a wife. In fact, when we walked before we went, we said, would you ever do that? Would you ever kiss another girl? No, I would never. Would you want to kiss another guy? No, I would never. So it wasn't this big step of, hey, we're going to go to this resort and get naked and play with people. It was, hey, let's go to this resort and just watch what happens around us.
Well, did you guys did eventually start having sex with other people, right?
Well, yeah, but that was, years in the making. We totally baby stepped into this lifestyle.
People who haven't ever experienced it imagine that swinging is about being unhappy with your relationship or looking for more variety or wanting something that you're unfulfilled in what you're doing now. But that's not what this is about for us. It has never been, not from the first moment that we started thinking about going to a naked resort where sex was going on. It wasn't so we could be with other people. And it still isn't today, many years later. It is us first. It's our sex life that we enjoy together. And occasionally, everyone's sex life is entitled to be a little bit, unique and maybe even a little kinky. And in fact, every couple out there who have a healthy sex life, they might, have toys when they play, or maybe a little vibrator, or maybe they like to watch porn together. Maybe they get a little adventurous and, the paddle comes out or the blindfold. And we enjoy all those things. And our sex life is just like that. It's about us first, but occasionally that toy happens to be another person or another couple. But never is it about us looking for conquests for something we don't enjoy together. It always happens together. And the reason that's important is that is by far the most common scenario in the swinging lifestyle. And it's not understood that way.
It's not key parties like you've heard.
No.
It's not like that at all.
No. It's dating for couples.
Okay, now that confused me. I was with you until you said that. One of the things that I have heard over and over from the non-monogamous couples on our show is that for some people, it's about an identity. For some people, it's just recreation. For some people, it's about love. And for some people, it's about sex. And then there's everywhere in between between those two ends of the spectrum. But I thought I heard you saying that it was about recreation, really, with people that you, of course, like and respect. But then you said it's about dating. And dating, I might just be misusing the term, but I usually think of dating as an intent to have a more emotional connection somewhere down the road. Am I adding too much to that?
Well, when we meet a couple, you have to date them in the fact that you have to like them enough. There has to be physical attraction. There has to be things you can talk about. It's not like we walk down the street, pick a couple up and take them in our bedroom.
Okay, good point.
But we have many, many friends with benefits, dating couples that we see more than once. Not that we're polyamorous. We're not in love with them. We're not half married to them, but we see them on occasion because we have fun playing in the bedroom together.
Yeah. Penn, even if you're not sexually attracted to men, there must be something deeply, deeply intimate about sharing your wife with another man in that way. And also, I'm assuming you're in group scenarios, so seeing another man who's having sex. Does that...
Well said. And that's absolutely true. I mean, it starts with voyeurism of watching scenarios, of watching real people engage in real sex. Not like porn sex where, it's for the camera and they get the right angle and, everybody's making the goofy faces and the stuff that they think everyone wants to see. It's real sex, real bodies with all their imperfections, real couples who are deeply in love with each other, enjoying that experience with each other and then inviting others in the way we do. That watching that is awesome. And then and because we always enjoy this hobby, this activity together, we're always together. I know she's having a good time. She knows I'm having a good time. Many times it's a group of people all in, a tangled pile, and I can touch her as well as the woman that I'm with, and we all enjoy each other. It doesn't have to always be, hey, you go off into that room and I'll stay over here and, let me know when you're done. In fact, it's never that for us. And so you're absolutely right. There's a trust and a bond that you have to have with another man in order to share that experience. Not so much to share my wife with him, but more like to invite him and his wife into our sacred bed, into the privacy of the things we like to do in bed. And so, I have a very intense connection with the woman and with a guy, but not in necessarily a sexual way.
All right, it's time for a break so that I can tell you that today's episode is brought to you by a podcast from my good friend Rob called Making Ways. Now, Making Ways is a podcast that shares unexpected paths towards creative careers. What Rob does is he finds people who have these fascinating life stories, and he digs out how they ended up getting where they are. It's a ton of fun. It's a well-produced show. I think you're going to like it. You can find it on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, all the standard places. Or you can check out his website at makingways.co. That's not com, it's makingways.co. All right, now back to our interview with Penn and Page.
We're very representative of kind of an unknown world out there, which is couples whose relationship this is about. It's about our sex life first and the fact that we invite others in. So it's not that I give her away and then reclaim her afterwards. I mean, don't get me wrong. The sex after we have, an encounter with another couple or a group, when we get back together, it's intense. It's that reconnection, and some people call it reclamation. I'm reclaiming my wife. But for us and for most people, I've never lost her. I never gave her away. We experienced and shared the experience together. So I don't necessarily swap wives. That idea, that's not how it works. It's more like we invite others to enjoy our sex lives with us. Anyone who asks us about the swinging lifestyle and how to get involved in it, how to get started, and do we have any advice, the one most powerful bit of advice that we give to everyone is you want to take baby steps. The foolish thing is to go to your wife and say, I thought about wanting to be with someone else. We should try it. Let's get online and find somebody to have sex with. Oh my gosh, never, ever, ever. That is not going to work. And that is a foolish way to advance your marriage. Instead, it has to come from a place of let's do the tiniest thing together. and let's see if we like it. And then let's agree we won't do anything more than that. We'll step back and we'll discuss it and we'll think about it. And then maybe we might try that again another time and see if it's okay. And then yet a third time we might try and do just a little bit more. And you baby step very slowly into all of these situations. And it might take, in some cases, it takes weeks, months, sometimes years worth of people's lives to baby step in. But that confidence and that development between the two of you happens if you baby step rather than jump in with both feet.
Yeah, it sounds like a really smart way to go. Paige, I wonder if there's been a transition in your way of thinking about the meaning of sex through this adventure.
I think for me, and what the lifestyle for me and the swinging lifestyle has been a whole personality and sexuality transformation. For me, I've been married to the same man for a long time. He loves me. He tells me I'm beautiful all the time. I get it. But he told me I was beautiful when I was 9 months pregnant. So do I believe him every time? No. But when you join in the swinging lifestyle, and we would go to Desire, and men I didn't know would walk by and say, wow, you look beautiful. I love that dress. Or, wow, I love your hair. It's beautiful. You take that in. And I always called it the desire high. I would come back from there on this high of this self-confidence I got from other men, not touching me, not kissing me, not fondling me, just complimenting me, just telling me things that my husband tells me all the time. But when a stranger says it to you, you believe it. And so I gained this whole new personality of self-confidence, of being able to believe that my body still has it after all these babies. And then sexually, the hardest part for me to get over in the beginning was really women. I mean, I like guys, I like men, I like a male physique. So and my husband's pretty fit and I like that. But it was really the women when we started going to Desire that were pretty forward, pretty flirty, almost aggressive with me, because they take me up on the dance floor and I love to dance, but then they're grinding and they're whispering and they're like, oh, you smell so good. Oh, your hair's so soft. Oh, you've got the best body. And you're like, whoa, hold on now. Like, I don't know about girls. And that transformation took a little bit of time of getting used to being that close to women and feeling that sexual energy off of them. And
yeah, wow, what a shift.
It just totally transformed me to look at women in another light.
But there is no question about it that the best part of it is that we're together as a couple and we do everything as a couple and we make those decisions. When we say we're dating other couples as a couple, in the same way you date people when you were single and you would go back home after a date and say, do I like this guy? Am I interested in him? Now you have a person to do it with, and we do it together. We finish a date and we go back to, our home or to our hotel or whatever. And we say, what did you think of them? Was there an attraction there? Would you be interested in more? Is that something you'd want to pursue? And you get somebody else to bounce it off of. So there is no question. We never do anything. The common and the most common thing that's said, the most common bit of advice everywhere throughout our lifestyle is you never take one for the team. Never take one for the team. But just to be clear though, that's just your specific community, right? Because there are non-monogamous couples who really make it work in sort of solo contexts. Very true. But when we say you never take one for the team, obviously we mean we're not going to engage with another couple in which I'm totally into this woman and I go to Paige and say, sweetheart, just, it's okay. Just, you can do it. It's no big deal. I really want to be with her. No, never. We never do that. I couldn't enjoy the experience, if I didn't know she was turned on, excited, and enjoying it as much as I.
I got it.
You have to do it together. You never take one for the team.
Now, if you're at an event and there's a couple who really likes you guys and one of you likes the couple, but the other one doesn't, how do you break that contact in a way that's not offensive to the other couple?
Wow. Okay. So you're getting into some advanced level questions now that we get from a lot of, newbies or listeners to our show who ask that question. That's one of the most challenging things is how do I say, no, thanks, I'm not interested. And the pat answer, the one we're supposed to give you because it's, the highbrow reply is you're honest. You explain to people, hey, you seem like nice people. We just don't have a physical connection. I'm sorry. And no hard feelings. And we all walk away. And that seems like, well, yeah, that's easy enough. We're all here for sexual, fun and to be with each other. And if there's no connection, let's be honest with each other about it. We do that in online dating. Why can't we do that if we were honest about why we're all here? But in all truth, that's hard. It's hard to say that to people. I'm sorry, you're just not attractive to us. And so the most common thing that happens, and I'm not proud to admit it, but it does happen a lot, is, you make up little white lies and you, just try to avoid that situation with a couple that you've realized between the two of you, this is not something we want to pursue.
One answer we usually give is, oh, I'm sorry. Like tonight we promised we were just going to be with each other. Things are crazy at home. We need to reconnect. But thanks for the offer, but we're just going to be together tonight.
But then, of course, that lie cuts you off from the next amazing couple that you might meet 15 minutes later.
Yeah, but sometimes to not hurt someone's feelings, it's worth it.
Yeah. And in truth, the events, the parties, the world that's out there in this lifestyle, there's always a party every weekend, and they are big. I mean, there are hotel takeovers, there are clubs and swingers nightclubs that we go to regularly. There are resorts like we've talked about, and in fact, we were just a couple months ago on a swingers cruise in which the entire cruise ship is chartered for our lifestyle swingers group, and we went from Rome to Barcelona through the Mediterranean with about 650 like-minded, openly sexual people, and saw some amazing things.
So you're basically saying there's always more swinging fish in the sea?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So all this leads me to where I was starting to tease around this question of what the heck is sex all about anyway? It strikes me that sex is really more about the meaning behind the act than the act itself most of the time. The physical friction on our parts, you can kind of get that anywhere. It's about the context and the environment and the story. And but knowing that is a double-edged sword. Some people talk about not being able to suspend their disbelief. And some people talk about the great freedom of that realization that they can make up any story. Now, I may have gone too far down that path, but where are you guys with regards to this concept of the meaning of sex?
So, it's a great question, and it is swinging fundamentally is about sex. It's about relationships. It's about developing your marriage. But what makes it unique is that it revolves around a sexual activity. So certainly there's a lot of sex involved in what we do. And, you understand we were virgins when we were married. And when we would think about this as a possibility, when we had seen it and been exposed to it, and we would ask each other, is that something, would you ever want to do that? And we replied to each other at first, no, I don't want to do that. Would you? No. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear you wouldn't do it either, because I would never do that. Share you? I've never shared you with anyone else. No one else has ever been inside you the way I have. That's sacred to us. I could not share you in that way with someone else. And it wasn't until those baby steps of many months worth of time of seeing it and realizing how many fun people are out there that it does open your mind to the fact that sex is just a physical activity. And I in no way, jealousy, it's a huge topic with regard to our swinging lifestyle. And it's at the root of, sex is for only my partner and no one else. And so if you shared that intimate thing with them, then I would be angry or upset about it. And we all have that initial reaction. So what happens is over time, that jealousy goes away with the confidence and comfort that while we might enjoy physical pleasure, like a massage with someone else, or a deep friendship with someone else, or even, you know, a physical connection, like sports or something like that with someone else, that never changes the relationship I have with my wife. That's way deeper than sex. We have children together. We have a life together. We've built a home and a family, and we worship together. That's way more important than sex. Sex is just like a physical fun. And you begin to realize that a little bit, that we can kind of separate those two things. And what's more is that even though we're separating them, I think a lot of times what you imagine is for me to say, I just compartmentalize it and I don't think about the fact that she's having sex with someone else. But it doesn't work like that. In fact, almost the opposite. In a twisted and undescribable way, it's very hot for me to know that she's in pleasure, that she's enjoying herself. And it is for her too. We want to be together and know that the other one's having a good time and having fun. And the sex at the center of it, it's a connection between us, even if we're actually physically doing it with someone else.
And so for you, it's still about, so on one hand, it's about the connection with your wife, or it's about the relationship. It's about your marriage but it's hard to put this into words, because sex with other people, like, how do you have that come back around? Sex with other people is about the intimacy with my wife.
Okay. So obviously the first thing that makes it a little more obvious is we are together, right? All the time. So there might be a single bed and 4 naked bodies are on that bed together. And throughout the experience, I am regularly telling Paige, I love you, sweetheart. Are you having fun? Yes, I'm having a great time. We giggle in bed with this couple, and we talk with them openly. We talk about what we're doing. We let the person we know, boy, that feels really good. And my wife is next to me. It feels so great. I'm having a great time, sweetheart. Yes, I am too. I mean, the sex itself, we all can mentally make that distinction between love and sex. But when you're together all in a group and you're actually, the play is that. It's play. It's fun. And it's shared between us.
Have you ever questioned the lifestyle?
Sure. In what way? I mean, all sorts of ways.
I mean, I'm sure you question it in every conceivable way, but I guess specifically what I'm asking is, have you ever stopped and thought, maybe we ought to quit. Maybe we ought to quit this game for a while.
I think that in the very beginning, when you're just trying things and it's scary and there is jealousy. I mean, I can't say we've never been jealous of each other, because we have. There's jealousy does pop up, not so much now, but in the beginning. And you think like, I don't think we should be doing this. Like, maybe we need to retreat. And I think every couple that really is open and honest about it takes breaks every now and then to say, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure this is good for us? Let's talk it out.
And what would happen if one of you said, I am done?
Yeah, we've talked about that many times. In fact, we asked that question on our podcast, and to ask listeners, what would you do if one wanted to say, I'm done, and the other said, I'm not? What do you do? Well, if one of us said we're done, we walk away.
From the lifestyle or the marriage?
We'd never walk away from each other. We'd walk away from the lifestyle.
Oh, in a minute. Yeah, there's no question about it. We're in it to develop our relationship. And if it in any way made us not enjoy it or hurt our relationship in any way, we could walk away from it. In the end, there's a big discussion about, is what we do a lifestyle, something that we choose that affects the way we live every day and changes our mindset? Or is it just a hobby? We are who we are. We are who we were before we started all this. And it's just a fun activity that we do together, a hobby. And the honest answer is it's some of both. it does change who you are just a little bit. It makes you more open-minded. It makes you more communicative. It changes your attitude a little bit about the world and about sex and its importance as well as its meaning, which is arbitrary. I mean, after all of our values are in some way arbitrary. Why is it that it's okay for me to talk to people? Why is it okay for me to get a massage from a woman, but it's not okay for me to kiss her?
Yeah.
I don't know, because we've all just kind of placed that.
Well, totally, our values are arbitrary. I mean, you're preaching the choir on that one, my friend. I'm with you 100%. But that said, I'm thinking about this scenario where one of you really is just done. I know what you are. I'm thinking it might be easy for you to say that you would walk away from the lifestyle and stick with the marriage because it doesn't seem like that's a credible threat right now, or a possible thing that could actually happen. But I can also imagine a scenario where one of you is really identified with the lifestyle, and walking away from it would be too great of a sacrifice to that identity.
I think you have it wrong. I think you're wrong in your thinking, because our marriage always comes first. The lifestyle is a hobby we do for fun. Even if we said we're not going to play with anyone ever again, we'd both be fine with that. Would we stop going to Desire? No. Would we stop going to clubs where all of our friends hang out? No. We just wouldn't play with other people anymore. That we would be fine with. We would even be fine with not ever going to Desire again, because we love each other. This is just like a hobby, like if a young couple did skydiving for a while, and then they said, you know what, we're too old for skydiving. We don't want to do it anymore. We're going to break bones. Okay, but they still are married. They just aren't skydiving anymore. That's the lifestyle for us. It's a hobby that we do together that we're not going to do forever. I mean, you are going to age out of the lifestyle. So that's fine. It's just a hobby we're doing right now.
And I think one other thing it's worth saying is, of course, we have a podcast, and our motivation for it really came from us when we first started doing things a little bit, having some adventures and just thinking about it. We would go for long walks to talk to each other, and we would carry a recorder with us so that we could just kind of record the conversations. Like, what are you thinking about that? Would you ever want to do that? Would you be interested? And we would record them kind of for posterity, a diary for us. And then as we began to adventure into the lifestyle a little bit, and we would go to a club or a party, and we would come back home, and the next day we'd pull out our phone and put the phone in between us and record 15 minutes worth of, oh my gosh, that guy was so creepy. Oh, I was so scared when that happened. Or wow, she was really hot, and I don't know why she was talking to us. That was so fun. We would record those memories for ourselves. And over time, we have a diary, a journal of hundreds of those recordings. And so we often say it's the motivation for why we began a podcast, is to kind of tell those stories again for our own fun and to tell other people about it. But also because we say all the time that someday when we're 85 and we're a cute little old white-haired couple sitting on the front porch in our rocking chairs, we want to hold hands and turn those recordings on and say, we lived.
We were rock stars.
We were rock stars. We partied like rock stars, and we were porn stars in the bedroom. We had an awesome life.
That's beautiful. I myself love it when people fully embrace their unique sexual paths. The truth is, we're all on a unique sexual path, and it takes a lot of guts in our culture to embrace it honestly. Whether you want to live a swinging lifestyle or a monogamous lifestyle or something in between or completely off the map, you've got to admit that it's difficult to do. And folks like Penn and Page are pushing their limits in a way that's inspiring to all of us. For them, it's teaching them something about themselves, and it's giving them a lot of satisfaction, and you've got to admire that. Now, in the second half of this interview, which I cut because I didn't have time to fit it, I asked Penn what was behind this particular tone in his voice that I'd been noticing during the talk. And after a bit of digging, what came out was that he's got a real concern. Honestly, he's got a fear that someday he and Paige might be found out by their community, by their friends, their family, their church community, and that if they were found out, that they'd be cast out. It made me sad to hear it, and I have to admit that I found it a little bit ridiculous. Not that they have the fear, of course, because that's a legitimate fear, but that they have to face it in this day and age. And I don't have anything much more profound to say about it than this. Folks, it's 2018. Isn't it time we gave up defining people by how they want to have sex? I think we have something more important to do right now. If you'd like to learn more about Penn and Page, you can find their podcast, The Swinger Diaries, on iTunes or any podcast player, and you can find their website at swingerdiaries.wordpress.com. It's a great show, and I think you'll love it, so definitely check it out. Now here's some news. We've got 2 more episodes in Season 2, and then I'm going to take a short break, and I'll give you some updates on what's going on in my life and why the break is well-timed, so be forewarned about that. And don't forget to check out our sponsor today, Making Ways. Again, this is my buddy Rob's podcast, and he shares the unexpected paths that creatives take to get to their careers. And you can find his show at makingways.co. If you liked what you heard on our show today, please subscribe. It's not free to produce this show, and I would absolutely love your support. You can support our show by going to patreon.com/together. If you've got questions or comments, or if you just want to connect, you can find us on social media. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/togethershow. Twitter and Instagram are both @together_show. And you can always email me at host@together.guide. The music in today's episode is by blue.sessions, and you can find them at sessions.blue. That's all for today, folks. Talk to you next week.